Welcome back, Bulls and Ghouls, and thanks for tuning in to Season 1, Episode 3 of Strange and Departed. I'm Jim Strange, and I'm joined by the brothers, Travis and Dustin Ring. In this episode, we're going to be talking about all the cool stuff we make for our haunts. We draw our inspiration from everywhere, so how do you know if the skeleton you are corpsing or the latest thing you saw on Haunters Hangout is morally or okay to use? You need to ensure that you do not breach copyright laws and know how to protect yourself from becoming a victim of copyright. In this episode, as we are in the eve of Trans World, is it okay to snap photos of others' work and to recreate them as your own? This episode is all about originality and making shit your own. Please feel free to like and subscribe to Strange and Departed on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and check out our website, strangeanddeparted.com. Let's do this. So, Dustin, Travis, what's new, man?
What's up, man?
How's everything going? And is it beautiful and sunny in Nevada?
It is, and we have 2 corona cases, so it's not that bad here. But I'm like, oh God, me too.
Yeah, I'm so really sick of hearing about it. And then Travis, me and you were the same, right? I always asked you, you're gonna tell me something different, but it's chilly out, right? It's chilly in Ohio.
You know what? It's like 60 degrees outside right now. But,
really?
I haven't got it. Well, that was yesterday. Yeah, it's getting.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful the past couple days, but I woke up this morning, went outside for a butt, and I was like, Jesus, fuck, it's getting cold again.
Is it? Yeah. Well, shit, I haven't been outside all day today, so.
I'm in New England, man. I'm telling you, one day it could be beautiful and sunny, and we're in t-shirts, and the next day it's friggin' snowing. So.
I'm super excited.
Next week,
hopefully it doesn't get canceled though, right?
I know, dude. Left and right, I'm worried about it too. I'm more worried about the plane. You know, I'm more worried about the airport than the actual Trans World. Because Trans World, it's like, if I don't want to shake hands, I won't shake hands. If I don't want to do something, I won't do something. Because I wanted to wear a mask. I'm sorry, I wanted to wear a mask on the plane, but all I could picture was getting stopped at the terminal. What's your intention of wearing a mask?
Halloween mask.
Yeah, I'm protecting myself from the coronavirus, and before you know it, I got Bubba, the security guy with gloves, going well. He's bringing a mask on a plane. What else does he have up his sleeve? Be careful. I'm fragile.
I love it.
All right, let's talk to business.
Yeah. So I think the big topic here is copyright, and everybody goes on Haunters Hangout. You go to Trans World, and you find inspiration everywhere, right? So you can go on Pinterest, you can go on different websites and find tutorials, but what makes it your own? And so I think at the very beginning of this we should talk about it, because everybody has done some type of corpsing where you grab a skeleton from Home Depot or whatever big box store, and you add latex and saran wrap and all that stuff. And yeah, go ahead.
That's all just technique though. You can't copyright a brush stroke.
Very true.
If you're if you're making something your own, you can use other people's technique. And actually, that's some things, some of that you learn in Trans World, some of the seminars, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think that should be copyrighted. There's no way. But
yeah, everything is the second that you make something, the copyright is there. But if it's a derivative work, then you still own that copyright and the derivative works. And that's where I think corpsing is interesting, is because they're so similar, and I don't think anybody's ever tried to defend that copyright on corpsing per se, because it's widely used.
Well, if the first person to do it, like you said, bought a skeleton from Home Depot or a Halloween store, made a tutorial on how to do it, you know what I mean? I've been following Haunter. I mean, but even before Haunters Hangout, before there was Facebook, there was other websites. I forget all the names of them I used to follow, but just other haunting websites. But I think once, like Travis said, if you're making it your own, if you're getting your hands dirty, and I'm sure the first person to do it wasn't trying to make money, So if they corpse a skeleton. And that's one of those things too. It's not going to be mass produced, so it's going to be original every time you do it. If you're really getting your hands dirty, you know what I mean. I think it's going to come down to money. If someone's making money off your idea, then they're going to come gunning for you.
Right, and we'll talk about some of the things we're constantly I can bring up some comparisons right now where Spirit Halloween store has stuff that is very similar. I have this screaming Dangling kid, which is basically from Morris, and they sold to Spirit, which is very similar to Unit 70. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Like, to me, it's like, I mean, it's a kid being dangled, so like the copyright laws, like in effect, like I don't feel like that they violated them, but morally, and just like how you feel about doing that is totally messed up. I feel like it should be a Unit 70 type thing. Yeah. But this prop is way cheaper at Spirit than it is on Unit 70's website.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. There's definitely a gray area. Like there's a point where it's like if it looks identical to another vendor's product or something, and that's all subjective, based off of opinion. Then yeah, you shouldn't be reproducing it and selling it for sure. But it's weird because like people like make vampires and stuff, and vampires are not your original idea, but back in I don't even know, was that like the 1700s when people were writing about vampires, like the very first author or whatever,
Bram Stoker.
Bram Stoker. Okay. Yeah. So like, everybody's jipping off his idea, but everybody's okay with it, which is interesting.
Well, it's weird too, because like Bram Stoker or Bram Stoker, when he wrote Dracula, it was just a story, like when Nosferatu came out, they took Max Schreck and they were trying to, they put an image to it. That was actually, they didn't have the rights to do that. Like when Nosferatu came out in the early 1900s, they didn't have the rights to do that. But that was an image that somebody came up with. Universal took Bela Lugosi and had their version of Dracula, which became a pretty much like prominent look, you know what I mean? But you can't, he wore a cape, you can't really copyright a cape, but the look of Dracula, right, the slick back hair and everything like that. And then you got like, Bram Stoker's Dracula that came out in the 90s. So you got different versions of Dracula throughout. But like you said, like vampires in general, I think like movie copyrights will have their law, their laws and their rules, like of what they can do, like if you try to look like someone from the Lost Boys or the Universal or whatnot, and you're trying to copy someone else's idea,
right? And that's where it's interesting, is because like they have to defend their copyright too. So then you could get into like fan art, where like a lot of people are, like cosplayers, things like that are creating these costumes and go out there, or just artists in general that take something and they make it. You definitely, to the reasonable observer, which is one of the things that they do in the court of law, is they say like, hey, does this look like this? But like it's up to the company to either license out that character, as they do with a lot of different things, different characters. It's definitely like on that reasonable observer thing. So if you take something and you go, hey, does this look like this? Then that person can, if the average person says, yes, that looks exactly like a copy of this, then you probably have a good court case there, which is really interesting. And it's cool. Like, I think like,
we're talking about like different things too. Like if you are, if you're a home haunter and you're just doing it for your front yard, if you're a cosplayer and you're going to a convention, if you're doing it for like a party, you're doing it for yourself kind of thing, you should be able to, in my mind, you should be able to do it, but if you're making money off of it, off of somebody else's idea, essentially was what you're doing, then yeah, you definitely need permission to do so. Like you can't just take a prop. I mean, we're going to talk about it, but like talking about like Ghost Ride, like the Mindy prop or something like that, or another, I don't know if we're talking about that too soon, but like you can't take another person's like proper idea and exactly duplicate it. No, and like Spirit Halloween, they also took like the dragon. They definitely took that from Distortions. You know what I mean? They definitely go to the shows and they see stuff. I don't know. That's
interesting what you're saying there on that, because Distortion sells a lot of their stuff to Morris. And
right,
so
but if they sell their stuff and Morris is selling a Distortions product is one thing, but like a Morris or Distortions like taking the idea and because there's no way they could sell a $10,000 prop like Distortions to another distributor and say, oh yeah, they have to sell it, they're gonna make a profit, and not everybody can buy a $10,000 prop. So they make it AC power, no air, needed, a lot cheaper of a quality, and they sell it for like $200. I don't think that's I don't.
Yeah, to me,
I don't know. I don't know
so,
the books
it's
either.
So, yeah, and it's so unfortunate. And it's like, so if we create something with dearly departed, and somebody ripped off our idea, say it was like some manufacturer that sold it, because that's usually what it is, right? It's not Spirit per se jacking the idea. It's usually some manufacturer that's like, hey, I got this really cool idea. Do you want to like have it in your stores? And then Spirit buys up, 800 of them. And if it was something that was our idea, then Travis and I would have to talk to our lawyer, figure out what we want to do. Most likely we're going to send a cease and desist to Spirit and say, hey, this is our idea. Look at like you guys totally ripped our idea. And it's now, do we want to go into litigation? Probably not, because it's going to cost like $100,000 or whatever it's going to cost to actually defend this copyright. But if it's such a great idea, like Gary Fay with like, he's got those like claws, like if I was him, and they were ripping that idea, yeah, I would defend that, because he's like 4 months back ordered right now on like his design. And so like I feel like something like that is so original and so awesome that like I would definitely hire a lawyer. But if it's something like corpsing like I have this skeleton right here, like everybody's done something where you're definitely like taking inspiration and making it your own, but who's gonna defend something like that?
Yeah, man, I've been corpsing my whole life, man. I have pictures of me corpsing when I was like in like middle school or high school. Like I never did the saran wrap thing though. Like I've always done cobwebs. I've taken cobwebs and dip it in latex. You can buy mask. I used to do it with mask latex, and then I ended up buying like a big gallon of latex from monstermakers.com. But you could you pretty much you dip the cobwebs in the latex, you stretch it over the skeleton, put it on. You can paint more latex in for more like chunky skin and stuff like that. And then I've always used like wood finish and stuff like that. And but I've been making corpses. Like I want to say middle school. I bought my first like skeleton. It was a kit too. It wasn't even Home Depot. It was like a skeleton kit. I had to assemble the skeleton, glue all the pieces together, and then corpse it. And that's the one that's in the coffin, which you can see right here on the screen.
Right.
Yeah,
cool. I can't see anybody really going after anybody for corpsing though. Like especially if it's your own thing. That just seems a little ridiculous.
No, and if you're posting stuff on like Haunter's Hangout or any kind of a tutorial platform, then I think it's just null and void. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But like it's always going to come back to the same thing. Like I think all of our topics are going to come down to like a single line, and it's basically it's like if you're making money off it, if you're ripping it off or calling it your own, like and so you're essentially just lying outright. Like I have no problem doing it. If you see stuff like I don't know, like the pipes like in a sewer scene at a haunted house, I'm like, yeah, Brutal Rust, or I saw that in the Darkness or Lent Brewery or whatever. You just I like giving credit when credit's due, as I would hope someone would credit my stuff if they used it, but.
So what I thought was interesting, and like one of the things that brought up this topic is I was talking to Travis. I went to MHC. I went to one of the haunted houses, which I'm not going to name, and we were walking through it, and I came up to this cabin, and it was Nevermore's cabin from Transworld, and I was like, oh, no way, they bought Nevermore's cabin. That's so awesome. Like to me, it was exactly like the exact identical cabin that I remember at Transworld, like to the T. I'm sure there was differences. Yeah. And I'm sure there was differences in there. That they made it their own, but in my mind I looked at it and was like, oh, that's cool that this haunted house bought that cabin. And so we did after going through it, we did like a walk through the lights on tour, and they had everybody there, right? So like Gorgalore, their people were there, and they're like, oh yeah, if you want to buy this, like this is how much it is. And then we got up to the Nevermore cabin, and I literally thought that they were the Nevermore people. And I was like, oh, no way, this is so cool. Like, so you guys sold this to them? And they're like, oh, no, we came back from Transworld, and we built exactly like the Nevermore cabin. And I was like, well, that's a fucking bummer, right?
Yeah, that's
like Nevermore spends all this time creating this like beautiful set, and then everybody else just goes to Transworld, takes a billion pictures and videos, and then makes it their own. Like, to me, that's not right.
But
I'm sure it was their own. I'm sure that they could defend it too, like saying like, oh, we didn't have the drop bridge, you know, because I don't remember that. Maybe they did, but it could be stuff like that where like they're like, oh, it's not exactly the same.
It's weird though, like give it like 75, 100 years and somebody does that, you know, even if they are like taking that idea, people generally don't think that that's wrong. You know what I mean? It's weird how like time, you're allowed to, like over time, you're allowed to start taking people's ideas from the past and it's okay. But it's like, how long is that exactly? I know that was it like 50? I don't know the number off the top of my head, but like there's, you know, the copyright laws and stuff like that. Like I know Disney, they were fighting to extend it, and they ended up winning the court case.
Which
like
they should. Like I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like Mickey Mouse should be their copyright. Like even though Disney, like Walt Disney is dead. Like
it sucks though. It's funny though. They've taken all their ideas from you know,
The
old,
Grimm, the Grimm
Grimm
fairy
brothers,
tales,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
But
like
it's
they've
but
stolen
movies-
those ideas.
It's but I mean, like you said about time, is if you watch any movie, every movie that's out there it's not an exact replica, but it's been done before. You know what I mean? There's a black and white film somewhere. You know what I mean? Like you think of like The Hills Have Eyes is a good example. The Hills Have Eyes that came out in like the early 2000, a little after the millennium. You know?
Yeah.
Go back to the 70s, they had a Hills Have Eyes, and if you go even further than that, you have The Beast of Yucca Flats. It's an old Tor Johnson black and white film. It's the same concept, nuclear testing in the desert, you know? And like I'm sure if you go beyond that, there was a play somewhere before there was cinema. So it's one of those things where, like you said about time, I think it's all been done, man. It's all been done before. No, I'm not saying it's all been done, because there's always like new ideas, new concepts. Now that we're in like we're in the future, you know. Now we have like 3D and 4D and CGI and crazy stuff we can do. But they're basic, like either the storyline or maybe like an overall look of a film. I don't know how I'm saying that the right way. Or a character or a monster. I mean, it's almost sickening too that they redo everything. Like some things like leave alone. Like what you gotta do. Like someone was talking about like Pumpkinhead. I'm like, I'm down to see it. I want to see Pumpkinhead, but I love the original like Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
You know, like some things you should leave alone. You can't remake Pulp Fiction. You know, there's certain movies you can't remake. That's just
but at least they're licensing like Candyman's being redone, but like they're licensing like the story behind it. So Jordan Peele's gonna be, you know, like at least they're doing the right thing to license it and make sure that the people that produce it first. On The Hills Have Eyes, wasn't that the original was a Wes Craven, and then Wes Craven did it again, correct? Like that's what I remember.
Right, but I'm talking about like the movie itself.
Before
I'm not talking about.
I'm
not talking about like ripping off. You know, I'm just talking about like the idea of like the nuclear testing freaks and mutants in the desert. I can trace it all the way back to like, you know, black and white Tor Johnson. You know, like The Beast of Yucca Flats. If you really watch it, it's the same concept.
So do you guys think that like what this haunted house did with ripping Nevermore's cabin, and you guys weren't there, but like to me, like how much do you have to change something to where you guys would find it acceptable?
There's a real gray.
And they were totally honest about it too. They were like, oh yeah, it was definitely Nevermore's. Like they weren't lying about it, which I think is very admirable. To say,
I think
like,
you
if you're
go
like,
to.
hey, yeah, it is Nevermore's.
You go to Transworld to get inspiration. So like to draw inspiration from something is that in itself isn't a bad thing. I personally feel they should have took, because it was a shack. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. It was like that swamp shack kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So instead of just taking like that one picture, putting it in front of your construction crew and saying, here, build this, take multiple pictures. They should have took multiple pictures of swamp shacks from Louisiana or whatnot, and take a little bit from each.
Like
you know, that's what I do in my
we want
mind,
a swamp shack, and you need to do it as a swamp shack. And hey, we could do buoys or whatever. I think that's fine.
Yeah,
and like
and
the
like
latex,
moss,
seaweed
like the Spanish
style,
moss, Spanish moss
but don't
hanging
do
from
it
the ceiling.
exactly the same. Like that's
exactly. Well, it's like
there's no
it's
creativity.
It's like
in
the
there,
Victorian
and that's
manor.
what's wrong.
It's like the Victorian manor. If you go to like any haunted house, not any haunted house, but a lot of haunted houses have a Victorian manor facade. And you can take you can go on Google Images, type in Victorian mansion, and get like 15 to 100 pictures of, and take a little bit. I like that tower, I like that window, I like that door, I like that gate, and you put that all together. But just to take one picture and copy it, and I don't think that's the right move, but
no, not at all.
Well, and that's the thing is like they did not like make it to the T. Like if they didn't take out a tape measure, maybe they did. I'm sure they didn't. But like if you like take an exact duplicate of it, put it in your haunted house, and it's not that they're trying to sell it, right? So like Nevermore's selling that shack, and this haunted house is just like having patrons go through it. Where some people are like, well, whatever, but like that's Nevermore's business, is to sell that shack to these haunted houses. And if they're just taking the idea and putting the exact replica, like that's where I think that
is the
in the court of law, that like if you did really want to get into it, you could hire a lawyer. Like Nevermore could hire a lawyer, and they could go through with the litigation and figure out like damages, basically, like saying like, hey, we were selling this for $70,000 and you guys now owe $70,000, right? Whatever the price tag is on that. And Nevermore stuff is so crazy cheap anyway. So, but say it's $30,000. Mm-hmm. Like I'm sure they would send a cease and desist first, and then maybe that haunted house needs to like remove that like that whole set, or they could do it. I think like where it's. Go ahead.
I also don't know what goes on like behind. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes either. You know what I mean? Like Morris could have slipped an envelope to Unit 70s, and like maybe Nevermore did say something, and they said, yeah, all right, here's a. That's how like the system works. You know what I mean? An envelope gets slipped here and there, and say here, just
or they and they could have
way,
licensed it. That's the
and
thing, is like you never know. Like a lot of places say like this is an official licensed thing of X brand, which is rad, because then you're not like, oh, they just totally jacked that idea. That's a great way to do it. However, most people are like, and here's the thing too, with like when you go into Spirit, they might have like a Beetlejuice outfit there. You're like, that looks exactly like Beetlejuice, but they call him like Beetlebug. It's not really Beetlejuice, and they definitely didn't license it because they named it different, or Flintstones, or like any of the different characters. They definitely did not license it, so they named it some other like name, and they changed some things in it. And we're not lawyers, right? So to me, like I think like this podcast is mainly about like being original.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Don't take
like
any of.
Like if you feel like if you show like your friend and you say, hey, does this look exactly like that? And they're like, yeah. Well, then that's fucked up. Don't do that. That's wrong. Exactly. So like if you get ideas and like go like, oh, that was really cool what they did,
but I think a lot of us on like people like on Haunters Hangout, like I see a lot of people like, you know, saying, oh, I took this reference from here, I drew inspiration from this guy and that guy, you know, Alan Hops is I liked what he did here, and like that kind of thing. Like I do see a lot of that. I think with like, and that's totally fine, you know, when in between us as like home haunters or haunters in general, like if you're building something for like with your own hands, your own design, taking inspiration, I think that's cool. But I think on the flip side, if you're a corporation, you know, like I think and that's what it is too. Guys that like big spirits, like they have money, man. You know, there's some places have like the money to say, you know, I'm sure Big Lots and Michaels and stuff like that, they do the same thing. Like, because if you go to sue them, it's like, you know, they're either gonna say get the hell out of here, or they'll say here's a handout, get the hell out. You know what I mean? Like,
or they'll just like remove it altogether. They'll be like, well, we did not like, because I'm sure that Spirit, I mean, they don't want to like take the idea exactly that way, and I'm sure if they did buy something from a manufacturer, that they're just gonna be like, oh, well, we didn't know, and they're gonna remove it from their inventory, which is the first place that they should, because if they got a cease and desist, that's how they should react, is like, we're gonna remove this. It would be rad if they actually did some type of royalties, but like then you're gonna have to actually not go through Spirit. You'd have to like probably sue the manufacturer who actually ripped the idea.
Where did you find that tombstone, Dustin? I'm sure you can post a picture of the SK
Austin. Yeah, that one was.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like if you make something and then a big company, like, you know, just rips it off, they're not gonna pull that off the shelf. You know what I mean? I'm talking more like if if a big company took like a Beetlejuice or a Universal Monster, something like that, because if a movie production company is going to come after you, they have lawyers and they have money, and they'll take it off the shelf. You know what I mean? Right. But to us little guys who just make cool shit every now and then, tombstone, coffin, corpse, whatever, they can steal shit left and right, and like, you know, what are we going to do? You know what I mean? That's You know, and I say that guy would have a good case, like with the tombstone. You know what I mean? He would.
He
have
definitely
a
would
good
have
case.
it, and that one was like,
You know,
it's so sad because that one was like definitely replicated and skewed. I think like whatever they did, they're like, I'll just skew it a little bit, and they probably printed it out, traced it, or whatever they did.
Right. Have you ever been on
that one's sad because like he's not like that guy like made a really cool design, and he could get a pro bono lawyer, or hire a lawyer, but at the end of the day, like how much money did he lose off that? He's probably not selling them, so. What are like when they go to court, it really comes down to how much money did you lose? You know, like is there a case? You could definitely go on that side of things. It's a bummer. It's a true bummer. I think like some people like on that, like I read comments on that, like get stuff stolen. They say like, well, it's a badge of honor. Well, fuck that, you know? Like I mean like it's cool that like somebody jacked your idea. Fuck that though. Like it should not be a badge of honor. It should be like this should not be done. If we had better laws in place in the United States where if somebody did this then they owe X amount, like that's like if it's an exact replica like this SK Austin that you're talking about.
Right.
He should definitely be like there should be bigger fines on
Well,
that.
same thing with the Craig Hoffman and Eric Piggers, you know, like doing like if you make something and exact replicas, especially big businesses too, like you know, like I said, like Michael's stores or any kind of big retail chain store, you know, that's they should know. I mean, they should know better, but they also.
But here's the thing: is they're just buying stuff from some Chinese manufacturer that's like, hey, look at this cool product we have, and then they buy it. And it's not like Michael's or Home Depot's making these props that are in their places. They're just buying them.
That's true too.
At the end of the day, that's what's happening is they're buying these like shitty knockoff brands, and so when you send a cease and desist, they're gonna remove them. Like they'll be like, oh shit. Yeah, we'll remove them, like, because that is the right thing to do. We didn't know. Here's the manufacturer's information that stole your stuff. And they probably won't buy from the manufacturer again, but because they're Chinese knockoffs, like, there's 100 other brands that are, like, ripping everybody's ideas, and that's...
Yeah.
It kills me,
I
man.
think it goes down to every industry, too. Like, the... food
T-shirt
industry,
design.
T-shirt design, tattoo artists, man. It's a big thing in the tattoo community. If you really think about it, you can't just go on Google, take a picture of something, and then get it tattooed. You know, it's not like the '80s anymore. No one's even doing hardly anyone's doing flash anymore. Everyone's like custom tattooing now because it's a big thing. Like you know, like, put your own spin on it. So if when you go to Trans World, take all the pictures you want. I have USB sticks just full of pictures. But take like inspiration, take little bits of it, and then just like get your hands dirty and make them your own. Don't try to go on like Amazon or go on Google and try to find like what you're looking for in the cheapest version because it was just like that's just the easy way out.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's the thing too is like because dude, hands down, like I've looked at like inspiration and like if you're gonna copy the exact crack line. One, that's fucking weird. Like, why would you do that? Like, you can do other cracks. Like, you don't have to go, oh, I need to do the exact crack. And I think that's, like, sometimes human nature is, like, I really love what I see. Now I want to make that. But you have to make it your own. Like, be fucking original. Like, there's a billion styles of cracks and tombstones. There's a billion ways that you can make a tombstone not look like an identical copy. I have one of the pictures up right here from Angel Grant. I thought this one was really funny because funny and fucked up is that they basically Morbid took a sign from her yard and remade it, and the funny part about this is that like it says like Sleepy Hollow, Salem, Transylvania, and Roswell. All of the distances in miles are triangulated straight to her house. So like which is like that's like a huge rip. They probably didn't think about that. That one is definitely like a full on rip, but it's like if you're not going to go through some type of pro bono lawyer, what is she going to do, you know?
Right.
You're not going to sue Morbid like you could. Like if you for like I feel like the cause, like just to be like to prove a point, like you should definitely like do that. But lawyers are expensive.
I was just gonna say that, like you know, you got court fees, you got lawyers. In the end, you're probably gonna spend more than you're gonna get back. You know, so it's
and you can like if you do like register it and you do like you can like take their like you can fight it and say like I want like attorney's fees, blah 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 blah. But still, you're gonna have like they're gonna keep on pushing back, and they might have a lot more money than you. And so, how much of it is that you want to like your time into it? And like I feel like if there was a way in the United States where like that it was easier to actually like file something other than a cease and desist to actually like recoup your costs back, other than getting a pro bono lawyer. But at the end of the day, it's like this is where like this podcast is interesting. Is like it goes back to like corpsing, right? Like I don't know who actually first corpsed. I really don't. Like I probably learned from it from like Alan Hops or something on Transworld and changed it up in different ways. But you don't know like who actually was the first person to do it. But I definitely did see it on like Connor's Hangout first. I would think. Maybe I didn't. I'm not sure. I feel like Jim, you were saying like when you were a kid, like where did you learn?
I'm trying to think too, because I remember like before Facebook, before MySpace, before all the social media stuff. I was still a home haunter, man. I was like, that's what I did in high school, is like make stuff. So I want to say it was like HalloweenHowTo.com or something like that, or Halloween or HauntingNetwork.com. It was something like that. I'd have to look it up, but that's how I got the ideas for like my tall figures I have in the yard and like my tombstones, and just you get ideas from other people, and like we're talking about like different things too about the how about like the laser swamp, man? I did the laser swamp this year. I've seen it done like multiple times at multiple attractions. I don't know who first came up with that, but were they trying to patent that idea, But like, I love the laser swamp, dude. It's pretty simple. It's just, it's like a leveling laser.
That's a great one, because definitely like Froggies pushed it hard last year at Transworld. But I feel like I saw it before that. And so what they did was take an idea and made it even better with like their own, like here's how fog, like all that stuff.
What's older than that?
I agree, but it's like you're literally taking lasers and putting it into a swamp. It's not really a copyright or a patent,
right?
Like it's
right. I mean, if you bought,
but
like,
it's definitely you're ripping on other people's ideas. 100% ripping somebody else's idea.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things too. If you're buying lasers and selling them as a laser swamp, you know what I mean? Again, like for us home haunters, you know what I mean? Or if you're just doing it for the fun of it, I don't see the harm, Like it's more if I was a big commercial, I owned a store and I was trying to sell like the laser swamp, like it was like my original idea, But I don't know. Travis, what's your take on things?
Yeah, man, that one's interesting. I never really thought about that, because like you can't patent freaking like was it smoke and fog. Like I guess like a formula you can patent, but I don't know. It's just like a set,
True. Yeah, it's lights set. It's a setting, and like I agree with you, because there's nothing really original there. Even though like everybody did rip it, and that's a bummer, because it is cool. It is such a cool effect, like how like people pop out of the fog and out of the like. It's so neat.
Oh, dude, I love it. It was one of those things in my haunt this year. It was the big hit. Everybody loved that.
Yeah, it should be.
I spent the least.
So neat.
I know, but I spent the least. That was the one scene I spent the least amount of time on. Do you know what I mean? I mean, everybody loved everything. They really liked like how the cathedral looked and how the mausoleum and the catacombs looked. But that took time. That took a lot of painting, a lot of effort. They got to the laser swamp, and all it was I didn't even buy a hazer, dude. I made a fog chiller. Again, you can see how to make a fog chiller. You know what I mean? I'm not selling them. I took a Rubbermaid container. I took a PVC pipe, and I put PVC pipe through the container, filled it with ice, and blasted fog. But it worked flawlessly. But I wasn't trying to sell. I made the first fog chiller, and I'm trying to sell it. I'm just letting people know, if you don't have time to order a hazer, or didn't have the money, or whatever it was, it always comes down to time for me. Like I get down to like the nitty gritty, and I'm like, if I order it now, I might not get it in time, and blah 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 blah. So I just built a fog chiller. But anyway, fog chiller, laser swamp, that's all it was. I hung like Spanish moss and like tethered fabric from the ceiling, so you felt like you were in a swamp, and I had an actor in there, and that was that.
It's such a good scare.
Yeah, it really is, but it's one of those things. It's popular too. It got popular, so a lot of people are going to use it. Same thing with like the vortex tunnel. You know, I mean, you can actually buy the vortex tunnel. You've seen it at multiple attractions and multiple haunts, but you can make them too. I've seen how to make them. All you need is like a motor and like bicycle wheels. I've seen how to make it. You know,
right. It doesn't seem like it'd be way too complicated for sure.
Right, and I personally I don't feel there's a problem with that. You can make it for your own little attraction. You can you can make it no problem. It's always going to come down to like the money licensing thing. If you're making something and say, "Hey, I made the first vortex tunnel," then
yeah, but wouldn't you be
wrong.
bummed? Like to me,
if you
like
did make the first,
if you were the first person to ever make the vortex tunnel, and you were so excited, you know, and like. And then all of a sudden, every haunted house has them because they're all making them identical because they looked at it and they're like, "Oh, I could just throw a tire on here and move this." Like,
oh yeah, you're definitely gonna be bummed. But I think a lot of those guys too, man, they have to buy now. I mean, again, like the smaller, like mom and pop prop shops kind of thing that go to Transworld. I think in the beginning you're gonna be bummed, but like some of the big guys, they just know by now. They have to just know by now. You know what I mean? Like, is it wrong? Yes, it's wrong. There's always a moral dilemma, but like. Someone's gonna see your stuff and they're gonna try to recreate it, you know.
And that's a good point. Is like Creative Visions last year at Transworld had a really cool, their squishy like floor, right?
Oh, yeah,
so basically it's foam underneath wood. Everybody ripped that idea, and so I was looking at like what they were talking about on Facebook, and he's like, you know what? At the end of the day, we put more R&D or like research and development into that to make sure the longevity lasts. They really thought through the process of the squishy bridge and like how it works. If like they're not gonna like follow up and say like, oh, you guys, you know, like it's a bummer, but at the end of the day they're gonna keep on pushing forward and making sure that they have cooler ideas in the next year and that they're always innovating.
Yeah, and I feel like they're gonna make their money. You know what I mean? Because there's always gonna be people. There's the go-getters and there's people that just want to buy it. You know, I think not everybody that goes to Transworld. You have to keep in mind, not everybody has like that creative gene or bug in their head. Some people just have money, dude. They're like, oh, I own this haunt, and they just want to buy a bunch of stuff. And those people are always going to be there. You know, those people are going to be at all the trade shows, and they're just going to buy up everything. And then there's the people that say, okay, I'm going to buy a couple things, but I can't buy everything that I want. That's pretty much where I am, dude. You know, I buy what I can, and I make what I can't. And there's people that just like straight up just want to go and get inspired and build their own thing. So I don't think there's anything wrong with like any of that, as long as they're still making their money. But I feel they're going to, because it's not like a town show, you know what I mean, where only like 100 people show up. You're talking thousands of people that show up to this thing. So no matter what, out of that, like percentage-wise, there's people that are gonna buy because they don't have the time, they don't have the means, they don't have the will to build it, you know. So as long as they're making their money and they're happy, I'm happy, blah blah blah, you know.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think we should wrap this up because we are going to record another podcast in a second.
We're going to record another one?
Yeah. Did you guys see Lexi's fucked up text?
No.
Unless that was her just saying that.
Oh, wait, which one? The one just now or?
Just now she said Transworld has been postponed.
Are you fucking serious?
All right, well let's wrap this one up real quick, and then we'll look into it. 'Cause I think we hit everything on the nose. And this
I do too. I feel like
this is a good one. This is
oh my!
All right, let's.
Fucking no way.
Is it actually postponed?
Hold on, we gotta make sure.
All right, well let's wrap this one up because it's gonna take me. It takes me forever to load my QuickTime videos. So let's wrap this one up so we can get it to you, Dustin.
So just
so
okay.
Outro
wise,
do
an outro.
Yeah, I have the outro already. But do we want to do the movies or fuck it or what?
What's that?
Do we want to do the movies?
We'll do that the next time. You know, do you want me to do the joke?
I do like the joke. So you're gonna do the outro though, right, Jim? And then do the joke as well.
God damn it! Okay, hold on.
Fuck it,
dude. I feel like shit right now.
You look great.
You have not been talking at all, Travis.
Dude,
like,
no, my stomach hurts like really bad right now.
All right, outro. A sec.
I need to drink a beer.
Fucker, if this is true.
All right, well,
how did she find this out?
So you're creating your own stuff.
Because it still says proceeding as planned on their website.
I'm not seeing the website up right now. Oh, there it is.
I really think that like she's saying has been postponed for them.
For her, maybe. Wait, what? No, that doesn't make sense.
No, because why would you say it like that?
Latest corona info. Click here,
Hold
and
on,
then it
hold on, you guys.
says.
All right, ready? Let's wrap.
Latest coronavirus info.
Shit.
God damn it, dude! If it's fucking postponed, I swear to motherfucking God.
Hey, if it is, man, I'll fly out to fucking Nevada and we'll fucking party.
Party. Because I already have the time off. Chaz has the time off. Like, we all can, like, just make shit. Like, we have so much shit we could do.
Okay, she just...
Hold on.
Yeah, the Haunted Attraction Association. This has been a rapidly developing situation. Please allow us to add some clarity. The Transworld team has not been able to access social media due to meetings with local government officials, etc. The event is absolutely postponed.
Motherfucker. Fuck you.
All right, hey, don't get upset yet. Let's.
All right, yeah, let's end this, Travis.
All right, so let's wrap this up, you guys. Let's remember to just be original, create your own stuff, and just write stuff make stuff that's gonna like impress other people that you're impressed by morally, ethically. It's the way to go. But you know, like, I fucked that up.
Hurry the fuck up!
Yeah, I can't work under pressure.
We have another podcast to do.
All right, all in all, you guys, let's wrap this up. All right. Let's wrap this up, you guys. Let's just remember to just be original. Do your own stuff. Do stuff that makes you happy. Do stuff that's gonna make other people happy. Let's just do stuff that's not gonna get you in trouble. Just be original. Just get your hands dirty and learn something new. Thank you again for tuning in. We are Strange and Departed, and we'll be catching you next time. Check us out. Subscribe on YouTube, and check us out on our website, strangeanddeparted.com. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.